Hey guys, and welcome to a Ling tutorial. So, what I'm going to do here is talk to everybody about the type of Lings that you will encounter when you play Entry PTD, and I'm going to explain every single Ling and their effect, and the kind of towers you can build to counter them. Every single Ling has a weakness. So, I wish this was a little bit bigger, but it's super small. So, I guess I'll just go down the list and start talking about these Lings here. So, the Air Boss Lings. They give away five lives per kill. I don't necessarily probably don't have to go through these air links. They're pretty basic and standard. They just hit the checkpoints and then that's it. The air titans they get 10 and stuff like that. Suicide links. These guys they come to your tower. They go to the checkpoint. They come to your tower. They go to the checkpoint. If these suicide links are more than like 6 or 7, definitely consider using flame. Flame towers like would destroy suicide lings. What else kind of air do we have? Drop boss lings. That's considered air and ground. They drop ultralists at every checkpoint. The way to build a maze for a drop boss ling is if you could bundle up all of your TPs, your TP ends like TP1 in, TP2 in, TP3 in. If you could bundle those at the end on your final checkpoint, right when your ultralist is about to walk into your final, if it hits those TPs before it gets to the final and your TP resets into your maze, that's the most maximized way you can use your drop bosslings. So if you can build a maze to do that, your drop bossling, you'll be able to maximize and drag out the ultralist, which will increase in the exposure into your maze, and you'll ultimately win if you do something like that. Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about all the other air before we go with anything else. I think that's all the air detour links. They just move around and you just kill them. So yeah, let's go ahead and go into the other links here. Armor links, they have armor, so you want to be able to use high damage towers like Angle Tower. You want to be able to use big multi-shot tower can do the work. All of the splash is probably not recommended for armorlings, but it all depends too because the armorling is like if there's like 10 or 20 of them, if there's a high count of the armorlings, you could still splash them, but you just got to make sure that your splash damage is higher than their armor. Splash normally works if you have a high damage yellow spot. If you have a high damage yellow bonus location, like plus 100% damage or plus 200% damage, then your splash will be able to do mad dirt to these armorlings. So consider that, okay? Keep that in consideration. So bosslings, they're just one, really nothing special for them. Slow immunelings, these guys ignore all like immune spots. So if you're like if you're doing splash play, consider that, okay? Keep that in mind. These guys counter all of the splash plays. Hardenings, they only maximize hit 10. So the towers that are best for hardenings are the ones that can hit multiple amounts. So you're looking at like infection tower hits multiple, chain reaction hits multiple, light splash does too. All of the splash towers do. So keep that in mind for hardenings. Regenlings, the hydralists that regain health. Regainlings, right? So regenlings. These guys, the secret to these guys, when you see them, that means that you need a single tower unit, a single tower hitting unit, like the angle towers, the HD towers. Bounce could work if you could keep your hands, if you could keep the damage on them. The second you let go, they heal instantly. But honestly, bounce, you don't want to bounce with any kind of heal. So you want to keep it single hitters, like melee towers, multi-range tower can do too. Can work too. Charge tower can work. All those. Fast turn immune, same thing. Uh, they're just slow turn immunity, fast turn immunity. I feel like these fast turn immunities walk a lot slower than the slow turns. they just ignore all of like the TPs and the slows. So if you're doing splash play, consider those. You can't really splash play those, so they're pretty much anti-splash play. Mineral links, these guys are delicious. If you're able to kill, focus. If you see mineral links, build your strategy around them. Because if you can get like plus 20, plus 30 kills above everybody else, they're not gonna be able to recover from that. Because remember, you get plus 3 minerals for every kill. I think it's even more as we keep going too. So if you're able to pull off a mineral links, go ahead and do that. That's very important. Evolve links, these guys, the little mini queens. Every time you kill one, let's say there's like 2 of them, okay, 2 evolve links. If you kill one, the other one's HP remains the same, but then the first one, it increases their HP by like almost double or some shit like that. So you want to be able to manually right click the other one back and forth, like just spam that whole wave and individually click that whole wave if you don't have a splash tower. If you have a splash tower, it's already doing that. If you have a single hitting tower, like mini range gun or HD, then you have to manually micro the crap out of it and hit them mad crazy. Anti-socialing, the secret to anti-socialing is that when it gets to that round, you want to be able to drag out your maze, kind of like a Laffy Taffy. You want to pull your Laffy Taffy as long as you can. You want to pull your maze as long as you can to increase in the exposure. By doing so, you increase the exposure for your main tower to hit them. Because you got to remember that exposure gives you more time for your main tower to hit them, which means that you're going to have increase in damage. How do you do that? Just build a lot of supply depot if it's cheap. Do what you got to do. If your maze is like Jagger and stuff like that, sell some of your Jagger maze that's condensed together and just spread it out. Because if you do that for anti-socialing, you will be rewarded. Groupling is the exact opposite. Grouplings, they crumble up together, so you're not going to get a lot of exposure, but they're super good for a splash play. So grouplings is a really nice splash play Ling. Invulnerability Ling, right? Invulnerable Lings. The secret to these guys is just like anti-socialing. You want to be able to drag your maze. The more you can drag your maze, people who have a bigger maze, a longer maze, will be rewarded more kills for invulnerable Lings. So remember that, okay? Kerrigan Titan, these guys can make or break a win. They give away 10 kills, and the secret to winning Kerrigan Titan, if range is cheap, upgrade the crap out of your range. I'm talking about late game now, okay? When you have like 1 or 2 towers that's fully upgraded already. Kerrigan Titan, you definitely want single towers. If you see a Kerrigan Titan, automatically think a single tower, unless you see that the other links are like giving you opportunity for splash play. You always choose splash play over anything unless you see that there's a lot of like boss waves, but splash play normally wins every single time. So the secret to Kerrigan Titan, you're just increasing your range for your towers, and you get more exposure. That's the only way. Stunlings, if they get close to you, your main tower is gonna get stunned, and you're gonna lose. So always prepare for that. If you prepare for it, you'll win. I've already covered all the air. Colossus Bosslings. These guys, they could get hit by AA towers, anti-air tower, which hits 4.6 per hit damage. 4.6. That's the strongest tower this game has. So if you see that the Colossus Bosslings dominate the Ling diversity, consider going AA, and you'll definitely be rewarded. Cracklings. These guys, they start off slow, and then they get faster and faster as you go. So the secret to these guys, they'll give you a really nice splash play because they walk super slow in the beginning. So if you can do splash play, go ahead and go for them. People complain sometimes that they skip TPs, and that'll really hurt you. It is true, they do skip TPs sometimes, so keep that in mind. The Fraudlings, every time you kill them, you lose money. So keep that in mind. There's really nothing besides it's gonna make you broke, so just remember that. Healings, just like the Hydra Regainlings, you want to avoid splash play. Healings, any kind of heal unit automatically is an anti-splash play. So keep that in mind. You definitely need single hitting towers. Revengelings, these guys slow you down every time you hit. So Revengeling is an anti-splash play too. So if you're trying to like do a splash play, Revengeling is not your friend. So that counters you. So you got to consider that. It slows you down every time you kill them. It slows you by 10%, 10%, 10%. It stacks up like 50% or some shit like that. Really high. So Stronglings, like I mentioned in my first tutorial, you want to hit them fast. You want to hit them quick early in the beginning because they get stronger as your maze drag out. So Stronglings rewards those who have a small maze that hits quick and then ends quick. Weaklings, Weakenlings is the opposite. It rewards mazes that are super long. So keep that in mind as well. The longer you can drag your maze, the weaker they get. So a cool little strategy you can do for the weaklings is that before they hit your main tower, supply depot the crap out of their pathway. So when they get to your main maze location, they would already have hit a lower HP point, and thus giving you more kills in the end. So something to consider. Huglings, if these guys are close to you, they increase in their strength. They increase in your main tower strength, so you want to be able to use anything that's close. If you can do bombard, go for it. If you can do anything that's close, like a big multi-shot tower or a melee tower, those guys are going to get rewarded dramatically. Towers that are like long distance, like a long range minigun and infection and stuff like that, they'll get that quick exposure when the Huglings are around them. But as they move out of your maze to the outer section of your maze, you're not going to get that bonus. So consider that as well. So the Huglings are very important because if you are playing a game where there's like 2-3 checkpoints, you want to be and there are TPs. You want to be able to use your TPs when they're at their weakest points. When they're blue, you want to be able to have the blue Hulklings hit your TP and cycle through your maze. You don't want to use your TP and have the Hulkling change to green and then cycle into your maze again with the TP because you're just losing kills. So don't do that if you could avoid it. Split Titan, these guys are pretty cool. The secret to Split Titan is a splash tower. If you can use infection is one of the strongest towers for it. If you can start splitting these guys, infection hits all of them. There's not another tower that can do that besides a splash tower. The cannon splash tower is just called a splash tower. That works pretty good too. It doesn't hit all of them, but it hits like a good chunk of them. So if you're able to do that with the slow, you need a slow. For all splash play, you gotta have a slow. If you don't, it'll really reduce your damage output. I almost want to put a rule where if there is no blue, don't even do splash. But there's like crazy exceptions. But that's like one of the main like cardinal rules right there. Scarelings. So these guys, Scarelings, when you hit them, they automatically the whole wave gets scared and you get a 3% increase boost. So it pretty much rewards splash play. Scareling rewards splash play by 3%. So if you're playing splash play, you're gonna get a 3% bonus. Explodingly, same thing. They reward splash play. Every time you kill them, their friends around them, the lings around there gets reduced in half. So that rewards splash play. Periodic lings, you just gotta time it going into and out of your maze and just pray that when they go immune, they're not immune when you're in the midst of your main tower. And when they come in and periodically the immunity is off, that they're actually getting hit. Front shieldings, these guys only get hit from your back. Remember, when they go into your maze and out of your maze, when they come into your maze, they're facing forward to your main tower. You're not gonna get any kills like that. As soon as they face out, then you right click the crap out of them so that you hit them. Tower, they do work pretty good for splash play, but you got to make sure you're splashing them at the back. Melee tower, literally. Melee tower counters front shielding so hard. Like every time the melee hits, you're gonna get a double. You're gonna get a hit. So if you see front shielding, instantly think, can I do a melee play? Because if you can do a melee play, you're gonna win. Downgradelings, if you can spam Q, do it. Downgrading is the weakness to downgrading is spamming Q, and you'll see if there's like 3 Lings and like one of them is downgrading, I would spam the crap out of Q and end up winning because people will waste so much money on like speed upgrades of their main that downgrading just cuts that off and all of their money goes to waste. Whereas the person who put all their money into Q, they're gonna win. Armor airlings. So these guys here, they're armor. So you need an armor piercing tower, like mini range gun, something that's high DPS. If you have a flame or a splash that hits air, it could work. But you need to remember that your damage needs to be higher than their armor. So if you plan to do splash play for air, make sure make sure you have a yellow bonus damage that is super high. That'll help you break through the armor. Anti-mage Ling, if you have a small maze like built for melee or discharge, it'll really help. But if you're gonna build like a huge maze, these guys counter a maze, so that'll hurt you. Time dilation links. The way to keep your main tower from not getting affected by the time dilation links. So what this time dilation link does is, if it gets close to your tower, it automatically reduces its attack speed by 50%. That's a huge deal. So you want to be able to build towers around your main to protect your main tower from getting frozen. Because if it gets reduced by 50%, you're gonna lose. So try your best to not get time dilated. That's so important. So scoutinglings, they screen splash play. If you can do a splash play, scoutinglings will really they'll really do give you a lot of deaths, a lot of lives killed. Bravelings, these guys counter splash play because when you hit one of them Lings, the whole Lings gets a plus 3% boost in armor. So if you're trying to do splash play, they kind of counter it, but only by 3%. You can still smash the crap out of them. Platelings, their armor. Every time they hit a checkpoint, the armor goes higher and higher. Armor. When you see platelings, anything with armor, you need high piercing, high damage piercing towers, mini range gun and stuff like that. Close-in-lings, if they're close to your tower, you get a bonus. So definitely look for like towers with close range, like a mini range, like a multi-shot tower, or anything that's close, right? Melee or anything, a discharge and stuff like that. Distant links, you're looking at long mini range gun. You're looking at sniper tower, anything that gives you a long distance. That will definitely get you a lot of kills if you could maze super far away and get kills. Unarmorlings. So unarmorling yells a splash tower. If you have anything that splashes, you will do a lot of dirt to unarmorlings. Single tower units, single towers literally gets countered by unarmorling. So the way it works is they have like negative 70 armor. That means that every time you touch it, they automatically lose 70 armor too. They lose 70 HP. So if you had the strongest tower for that would be big multi-shot tower. I've never won with that tower, but if you see a lot of unarmorlings that dominates the Ling diversity, big multi-shot tower can do dirt to it. Right after that one would be the chain reaction, which hits 7. That would do a lot of dirt to unarmorlings too. Infection does as well. Anything that hits a whole bunch of them would do it. Bow Titan Ling, very similar to the Kerrigan Titan, gives you 10 kills. The secret to winning these boss Lings is to increasing your to increasing your distance, your range. So if you can increase your range real cheap, that'll really help you out in getting a lot of kills. Vikinglings, you want to be able to micro these Vikinglings when they shoot and when they die and they're like flying in the air. You want single hitting towers to be able to pick them off as they fly from checkpoint to checkpoint. So single hitting towers will win Vikinglings any day. Bonus Lings pretty much means that you're not gonna get any kills. You're not gonna kill them, but you're gonna get that. Whoever wins that round gets that life. Everybody else loses. Mergelings, definitely single hitting towers. The secret to mergling is to click. It was an E to reduce their life. Because the more you reduce their life, the higher chances you're able to kill them quicker. Freezelings, there really is no secret besides it goes to your maze and it just freezes. So you want to be able to, the person who has the highest maze. It's a pretty universal Ling with no effect. So you don't have to worry too much about that. So yeah, that covers all of the Lings. I know I kind of went real quick with them, and I kind of just like splat down my little strategy as I went. So hopefully you guys picked up and learned a little bit uh, from that. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll review more as we go. So represent AK, baby.